Hey everybody. Hey, we're back again. You might call this page 2. Don't you know? Okay, page 2. And I have it on my little ticky sheet here. It says do this. Okay, that's how I kind of do the video. Do this one, do this one, do this one, do this one. Sometimes I have forget this one on the bottom kind of thing. So do this one here. And actually I have to say before I get into this one here, I had a very good friend of mine come make mention to me one day. We were talking about the twin flame phenomena, and it was kind of funny. She came up with this thing. Yeah, twin flames, the puppy love with purpose phase. And I loved it. I thought it was nothing short of brilliant. Can you dig it? Okay. That's that old expression back from the 1960s and 70s. Some of you don't even know it or what it's all about. Dig it. You know, dig it. Okay. That's the same thing as fog it. Dig it. Anyways, I'll repeat it again. Twin flames, the puppy love with purpose phase. Don't you just love that? I mean, doesn't that just wrinkle your crinkle? I love it. I think it's great. All right. Now, here, you got another old guy here. I'm going to sit down and give you a lesson on twin flames here again. You got to be something about older people. We do have some smarts. If we don't get Alzheimer's or get all those other things that take away our memory and patterns and all that other kind of shit. Good living, breathing air, occasional glass of wine. Don't eat popsicles. Stay away from wild people with credit cards. Don't do drugs. And don't own a cell phone. Yeah, I'm probably the only person on the planet who doesn't have a cell phone or a laptop. Don't have one. Anyways, to get back to the video, told you I'm a little on the weird side, so they tell me. So this one here is, again, I got to say it again, it's just, I love it. Twin flames, the puppy love with purpose phase. That's just so smooth. That's like, you know, that's like a, I don't know what it's like. It's just schmooze. Don't you dig it? Okay, I mean, I love it. Okay. And the reason is because to me it makes so much sense. Because I was thinking about it when this person gave it to me, and I asked her if I could, use it. I had to ask her for permission. I didn't have to, but I said I asked her for permission if I can use this in a video. And I wanted to kind of get into it because that's exactly the way. I thought it was so funny because I understood exactly what she was talking about, and I want to make mention. And this is what has been happening. One of the things that I have noticed in these connections is basically the beginning phase of it now, at this particular point in the process, is that heart-to-heart center, heart-to-heart connection that takes place with people in varying shades of intensity, as some of you have noticed. And we have designated twin flames, we have designated false twin flames, we have designated authentic twin flames, we have catalytic twin flames, and then we get into what some people now call the lower vibrations to soulmates. Can you believe? I mean, can you believe that 20 years ago, soulmates was the most popular thing on the planet? And somehow it got all bumped up into the twin flame thing. And now we used to have everybody looking for their soulmate. Now we got everybody looking for their twin flame. And we used to have like literally millions and millions and millions and millions of soulmates on the planet. And suddenly they all died. And now we got millions and millions and millions and millions of twin flames. And we got at least 2 or 3 or 4 or 600,000 million twin flames all in Facebook groups. I don't know. The math don't sound right to me, but then again, what do I know about math? Anyways, so in these connections, what's been happening is, and this is because I do a lot of counseling, that I have noticed this. The one first thing that very happens is everybody goes into what I call, and have coined, the bubble love phase, that mystical union where everything is just, well, we're just so balanced. We talk about everything. We can do everything together. Everything is wonderful. Everything is bliss. We're in total agreement. I mean, we're just joined at the hip, and we're just flowing. And the synchronicities are, well, we could be 2 pickles in a jar, or we could be 2 peas in a pod, or we could be 2 carrots in a patch. Everything is just beautiful. Well, that's the presentation of the gift of the connection as to potentially what's there, inevitably for everybody involved, not necessarily for the two people that are involved at that particular point in time to be that one, but potentially it's showing you what is there. Now, here's where the puppy love with purpose comes into play. Every one of you on this planet at some point in your life went through puberty. Remember that? The pimples and tight pants phase? Wait a minute, something's wrong. There's still adults running around in tight pants with pimples. Okay, whatever. Just kind of flashed in my mind. I saw the picture there. I said, still adults running around tight pants and pimples. Okay, whatever. Anyways, what happens is when you went through the actual fact of physical puberty, is when your personality, I know people will say it's prior to that your personality is formed, but I don't buy it. Your personality is legitimately formed and made concrete by the experiences you have when you're going through physical puberty, and I want to kind of mention this for a minute. So if you had any traumas, difficulties, abuses, positive, negatives, functional, dysfunctional patterns, or belief systems incorporated into your growing process going through puberty, they are stored in your etheric body and manifest through your body, through the endocrine system, which secretes hormones into the body. And the endocrine system is directly related and connected to the chakra system, as it were, so that by the time you finish puberty, you are already and have been pre-programmed, more or less, to your sexual expression, to your belief systems, to your concept of love, relationship, and sexuality, as I've already mentioned. And what's happened is any traumas or anything that has happened to you, to what takes place. So, having said that, you get the general drift of where I'm coming from. So what happens in your late teens, early 20s, 30s, 40s, it doesn't really matter anymore. All of a sudden, one day, you meet somebody, kapow, and you have this whoopee-doo in your center of your chest opened up, and you and the other person are just fascinated with each other. The magic button has been hit. And the very first thing you think of is, this is the one I'm in love. And then you try to go and look and find out what it is, and inevitably you're going to end up on a Twin Flame site or somewhere around there, and you're going to get hooked into the belief system of Twin Flames. You're going to go through that nice big euphoric phase that everybody does. And here's the point I want to make. If any of you haven't realized it, the reason that it always happens with another person, okay, there are a few people who can have these awakenings without another person involved. But the biggest majority of us who are relationship oriented from the time we are children, and especially when we go through puberty, what is puberty all about? That's when we discover our relationship in relationship to other people. That's when we are in a relationship to our first expressions of love. Remember when you had puppy love? Everyone has experienced puppy love. When you're gaga, goo-goo, you're all over this person, you can't sleep, you can't do anything, you can't stop thinking about this person, you can't eat, you break out in zits because every time you think of this person. You remember that phase? Everyone went through it. Everyone went through it. No one, without exception, didn't have some sort of puppy love phase. Well, guess what, folks? That's what this is again. You're going through the same thing again. But after you come down from that mystical state of consciousness that actually shows you potentially what can be there for you as an individual, most importantly, but for you as an individual with another individual. So because you are moving, now listen to this part, people, because you are moving now from the emotional experience of love, relationship, and sexuality, which you incorporated into your personality, your endocrine system, your chakra system, as you were going through your teenage years, you're now going to go through it again to do what? To correct all of the imbalances that you took on by living in a dysfunctional family, perhaps, with a parent or parents, or an abusive situation, whatever that may have been, you're now going to go through it again at a much higher vibration, not through the solar plexus, but through the heart center, which is going to begin to filter out all of that old stuff. So you go through what's called the twin flame puppy love with purpose phase, which this video is all about. And that's what is happening to every set of twin flame soulmates, sacred relationships, and especially the catalytic situations, the false twin flames, and every other bullshit name you want to call it. That's all that's happening, is you're going through a phase with an opportunity with another person, because if you've noticed, we live in a world of duality, and in actual fact, here's another important point, is the heart center chakra cannot function without equal amount of masculine and feminine. There's no such thing on this planet as the time of the divine feminine. No such thing. It is the time on the planet of the divine feminine and the divine masculine combined together in equality and manifesting through the heart center chakra as a relative state of consciousness in a vibrational spin pattern that it can create and manifest as a unified field completely surrounding the individuals and or individuals involved in the connection. So in order for that to continue, you, after coming down from the bubble, are going to get your buttons pushed. You're going to get all of the patterns and all of the growth that your little boy or little girl didn't get to go through in a balanced format when you were going through puberty. You're going to get to go through it with exactly the person that you need to go through it with. What I mean by that is the initial, what some of you are going to call your twin flame connection, will have the opposite balance of the traumas that you yourself have been incorporated and will manifest. In other words, some of the people who call themselves twin flames do nothing after they come down from the bubble love, but continually push each other's buttons. And that means what's going on is everything that is wrong, that needs to be balanced or corrected in a twin flame connection, is going to come out, it's going to manifest. But because it's called the twin flame connection, and there are still idiots on this planet who still say that once you connect with your twin flame, it's the only one. You can only have one twin flame. Listen, folks, let's get something clear here. This is a process. Calling it whatever label you want, only going to make you feel good because you like a title. This has nothing to do with alchemy. This has nothing to do with chemistry. It's an evolutionary process. That's what it is. We just like to call it names because we label things, and that's okay. I'm good with that. However, when I say that, there are a lot of people who are not good with it that I say it. And they have an issue with themselves. So when you're going through this process, everything that needs to be corrected in you, in your personality, that is not functional, is going to be brought out by the other person, which is going to trigger those things. And most of you do not understand you're going through a process. So initially, what's happening? When you come down from the bubble love, guess what's going to happen? Puppy love with a purpose is exactly what it is, because both people are going to go through spiritual puberty all over again for all of the areas in their life that didn't manifest to make them a whole, balanced person. And as you well know, we got a lot of Fruit Loops, we got a lot of nut jobs, and we got a lot of people on this planet who are having mental conditions. And this is caused by the environment, the society, and the belief system that we have incorporated, all right? Everyone in society is responsible for themselves and for the manifestations of the mental disorders and the complete obnoxious that goes on with a lot of people. We generated that, and this is a process of clearing that all up. Because if we don't, as you take a look on the planetary scale, we're on the cusp here of having enough technology right now to annihilate everyone on this planet in about 10 minutes. In about 10 minutes. That's all it will take. 10 minutes. So this is what is happening. So when you're thinking, for example, why is it I'm connecting with this person that I think is my twin flame and he's on the other side of the planet, 5,000 miles away, he's in a different culture and a different race, because maybe it was never your twin flame in the first place. It was just a connection to actually facilitate you bringing up your traumas or your difficulties in your life that need to be expressed and balanced in that particular thing. So it's twin flames, puppy love with purpose phase. That's what it's all about. Many of you should start seeing it in a perspective that when the bubble love phrase comes up and you're in that, that's potentially what you can enjoy in the world of duality with another person. But first of all, you have to be able to experience that yourself. But first of all, you're going to experience it with another person. All right? I don't know how many times I've seen and talked to people, a period of time after they've met what they believe to be their twin flame. And do I believe there are twin flames on the planet? Of course I do. All right? My belief system may be different than a few people, but that's okay. After you meet this person you believe to be your twin flame, what happens is you start going through this process, and I've seen some when it hasn't worked out, all right, and they've parted. Well, down the road a little bit, they start to come to the realization, well, I really do, it would be nice if he or she was there. But you know what? I don't really need him. I don't really need her. Matter of fact, I don't even want her. I just feel complete within myself. But if you had asked them that 6 months before or a year before, that's not what they would have told you. It would have been a totally different person. Because they've come through the process and they realize, all right, that they got caught up in the euphoria of the label and the belief systems that some of the teachers are presenting. And that's what they're presenting. They're presenting all of the material as being twin flames when it's not. It's a process that's taking place, and it's a process of duality between two people to show them what's there, first of all. Second of all, to take them through the process of spiritual puberty, which is puberty all over again at a high vibrational level, to correct all the dysfunctional imbalances and balances and whatever else is in their thing. And that person is there strategically. You've got to think about this, because this is really freaking amazing when you think about it, okay? Just imagine. Some of you, by coincidence, as you would say, or synchronicity, or all those other shit words you keep using all the time, you meet this person, and this person is totally logical. Lives on the other side of the planet, and you would never have been attracted to this person, just not your cup of tea, whatever. And it's just totally ridiculous. And the two of you connect, and immediately there's the euphoria, and then you start with the issues coming up. Can you imagine the intelligence that must be behind the scenes that can arrange for two people who would have never even conceived of the idea of meeting this type of particular person, and for the interests of the bubble of thing to take place, and then to see the wonderful magic of the puppy love with purpose phase, all right, as they push each other's buttons. How could somebody or someone or something know exactly the right person in the right space on the other side of the planet to hit the right buttons in the person at exactly the right time to really get them going? It's funny. I must be getting really weird, because, before I used to see the bubble love phase as the most beautiful thing in the whole world. I don't see it that way anymore. I see this phase where everybody's hitting everybody's buttons. That's where the action's at, man. I mean, now we're getting down and we're doing it. We're going to grow. We're going to evolve. We're going to cough and spit and chew and gnash and wailing of teeth. We're going to have temper tantrums. We're going to have shit fits. We're going to bang our heads on the wall. This person's not doing that. That person's not doing that. We're going to have to face all of our issues. I think it's friggin' wonderful. It's the best part of the whole process. Because kicking and screaming, wilding, controlling, manipulating, stomping your feet, making an ass of yourself, blaming everybody else as being the problem, this is putting you all through puberty all over again. And you're going to go through it as many times as necessary for you to grow and evolve and balance it out. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, whatever many times is necessary. And you can call it a catalyst. You can call it a false twin flame. You can call it Harry come to lunch if you want. It's all about the puppy love with purpose phase. Remember what I said. Every one of you on this planet at some point went through the puppy love phase when you were a kid. Everyone. I did. Matter of fact, I went through it about 3 or 4 times, as I recall. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I remember too, when I was about 15, I was going steady with 3 girls at the same time. I was in love with them all. I was the happiest puppy you could possibly imagine. All right? And in those days when I was 15, everybody's not banging each other like they are now at 15. Unfortunately. Now, things change, don't they? Anyways, what I'm saying to you is this. The most important thing to remember is when you are going through this, there is a force and intelligence behind this that has chosen exactly the right person to hit exactly the right button in you to bring out something that needs to be changed and corrected. Think about that for a moment. All right? This is so unique and so special. How could that happen? That other person has exactly the right components to piss you off, to hit your button, and to get you to grow. And you have the same ability to do the same thing to the other person. All right? That's what I call a soul-to-soul connection of intimate, personal, and deep connection between 2 people with a very, very fruitful outcome at the end of the process that's going on. Does that mean you're going to be with that person? No, not necessarily, but it can and it does happen quite often. But again, it's a process. So keep in mind, whatever you went through puberty that didn't come out as being balanced, and whatever dysfunctional patterns that you had to live through, you are going to relive them again in your puppy love with purpose twin flame connection. And I'm not saying puppy love with purpose twin flame connection in a disrespectful way. I want to emphasize that point. Because I know there's going to be some people out there going to say, oh, there's Melico, he's trying to trash everything again and stir up shit. What I'm trying to do is put a little humor in a really sad situation in the twin flame community. Because it's really going to shit from what I can see. So when you do this type of observation, look at it the way of the person, you to the other person are a blessing. The other person to you is a blessing. Because without that person to hit your buttons, to bring you to expressing through puberty what didn't get balanced out, will get balanced out this time, or it'll happen again 2 or 3 times. That's what I want to really mention in this particular video, at this particular point, because I think it's important. And I think, in a way, I may have explained it that a good number of you can possibly understand. And if I've done that this way and given you some understanding of why some of these really strange connections are taking place with strange circumstances around them, remember, the other person has exactly in their personality the right vibration to hit a certain button in you to bring out something that needs to be addressed, and vice versa. That's the exchange that goes on, so that the both of you can move more up into the heart center chakra and be free. The idea here is this, is many of you have figured out we're going through a process of evolution. The terminology used by the spiritual community is moving from three-dimensional reality to fourth-dimensional, which is obviously the heart center. You can move into the higher vibrations of the heart center, which are the higher fourth. But to move into the higher frequencies and dimensions, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and eighth, if you want, you've got to do better than what we're doing now. And you've got to move up beyond the heart center frequency and the templated belief system of unconditional love, which is a limiting vibration in itself. In order to do that, this is why these connections are being arranged. And I can assure you something of what I've been experiencing lately. Some of the very best of us who perceive that we have grown and evolved and have reached and attained a very high vibration are still going through these connections where our buttons get pushed. So I can tell you, this is not a one-time thing, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. The more you move up, the more buttons are going to get pushed. The more you move up, the subtleties of the buttons go core deep, and even the best and the best of the best of the best are going to connect with other people who are going to hit their buttons and bring it out and express so that that person can move up. The beauty of the system is once you actually wake up and smell the coffee, you recognize what's taking place and you're able to roll with it and understand this is a blessing. So when I say I see the difficulty that our people are in this puppy love with purpose, twin flame connection, oh, I love it. It just resonates with me like you wouldn't believe, okay? Puppy love with purpose phase. I can't sing with a lick, but, you know, it sounds good. Hey, doesn't it? Puppy love with purpose phase. Oh, puppy love with purpose phase. Have you heard that rhythm before? Puppy love with purpose phase. Remember that show? Catch you all later.